Hi, my name's Tom Heywood. I'm a woodworker based in Cornwall. I design and create sculpture, sculptural furniture, interiors, all from within my workshop. I have an appreciation for the natural world anyway, and I love trees and everything. And what first drew me into woodworking was product design in school. So product design, working with different materials, and in particular, I loved the aspect of working with wood. So I made a couple of projects in wood, and then I was like, actually, I quite like this. And then I went on to further study at college under the tutorship of Richard Buckingham, and he developed my skills, and really I found a massive passion for woodworking, which then I latterly developed even more by going on to further study and into the industry through various companies and things like that. I would call my business a sort of social media business. I'm not into social media myself. I first got into woodworking. I was just doing it in my parents' garage, and I was just loving it on weekends and stuff, all hours of the day.
Yeah.
And my friend, or it was actually my partner, said about putting my work on social media. I wasn't really into that sort of thing, but she set up a Instagram account for me, and then I started just snapping things, and yeah, I just built an organic following, and then it sort of developed from there. And then I started getting jobs, all sorts of jobs within the woodworking realm. And yeah, as time's gone by, I've been able to function more and to do more of my own projects. And then of course, as I've gained revenue, then I can be more expansive in my works, and it's sort of just grown from that, really. But more than anything, it's the passion that drives you on to create a business within the woodworking industry. My work is quite sculptural, so I do sculpture and then I do sculptural furniture. I would say that's probably my go-to, what people see me as doing. I also do a lot of steam bending, which is very popular. People seem to really like the forms and things I create. So yeah, I would say steam bending and sculptural works more than anything. I would say I fall into woodworking, so I'm a woodworker because all of my work is wood. But yeah, there's different influences for sure, and people will classify it as art, which it is art, but it's more than anything, it's just a creative mindset, isn't it? Art isn't a specific genre, is it? It can be many different things. More than anything, is just the endless possibilities. It's just, yeah, I love the fact that you can work with many different species, you can create many different projects, items, anything, and it's just, each piece of wood is different, and I like the fact that it's come from a natural source. Just more than anything, it's very versatile, so it can be made into virtually anything, and yeah, just the fact that it's sustainable, and I enjoy just the aspect of construction, and the feel of wood. And when you buy a piece of timber, you sort of have visions of what it could be, and then when you start machining it up or planing off the surface, it completely changes into something else, because maybe the grain's a bit different to what you expected. But that's exactly it. It's like, because it is a natural item, you can't always predict how it's going to come out. It's one of those, you go along with the process, and it comes through, and eventually you get an end product. But in terms of natural wood, solid timber, the possibilities are endless. You don't need much space. Obviously, like with everything, if you have more space, it's more beneficial. But to begin with, like literally my first workshop, well, it wasn't even a workshop, it was my parents' garage. And I had a tiny little bench, and that was basically it. I had no machinery, just literally bench tools. And it's sort of grown from that, to be honest. So now I would say I've got like a medium-sized workshop. It's got great high ceilings, natural light. It's perfect for what I do. I still do a lot of my carving outside, because I find that sort of like makes me a lot more creative when I'm outdoors, and I like to do it in the natural light and everything. But more than anything, you don't need a big space to create pieces of art. Obviously, it's the bigger space you've got, the more storage you've got, because within woodworking you gain a lot of tools, machinery, that sort of thing, wood as you go through years, and it is good to keep a clean headspace, sure, when you're trying to create something that's different, you know? Different works, anything within woodworking, but like I said before, I prefer the sort of sculptural aspects to woodworking. So creating something that's completely unique, something that's got a bit of identity to it, something that's, I work on my own project, but then I work with clients, and I always have a vision to create something that's almost not been created before. It might have influences from other parts, furniture or whatever, or design, but try and create something that's completely one-off, you know? The process starts purely with a sketch. So if it's my project or I'm doing a commission for someone, it'll literally just start with a basic sketches of potential projects, potential pieces. And then it sort of develops from there. Eventually, you narrow it down to the materials, whether that's aesthetically or whether it's just down to the materials and the environment they're going to live in. So all of these things, but it starts off with a sketch, and then you try and marry the wood into that sort of design as you go along. So I want a table. I want it 1.5 meters long. I want it, I don't know, like 600 millimeters wide, that sort of thing. So you've got the rough dimensions, and then, so you've got the proportions, and then you say, well, what sort of design, what sort of style would you like? And then if they can narrow that down, if they can get influences from off the internet, and then, so you know sort of what direction you're going in within the design. And then, I'll create stuff. So that's where it comes in. My website has got it's very image orientated, because that is what my work is. So if you go on my website, you'll see lots of different techniques, lots of different methods of woodworking. So hopefully somebody can grab something from that, or grab something from that, or grab something from both of them, and then I can say, well, that's possible, or that's possible. So yeah, that's it. It's more than anything, it's planting a seed in someone's head. So I get inspiration from literally everything. I get inspiration from people, from designs. I think more than anything, I get inspiration from where I live. From Cornwall. I think the landscapes, just the natural aspect to it is very inspiring. But yeah, I get inspiration from everything. Literally, it could be anything. It could be a song on the radio gives you that burst of inspiration, you know? It's not necessarily something, but it is that sort of light bulb moment, and then you sort of store it, or you sketch it, or you make a note of it, and then sometimes you come back to it in like years later. You come up with a design or a sketch or something, and then 5 years later you think, oh yeah, you come back across it, and then you go again and you create that piece that you imagined many years prior. I would definitely say invest in good quality tools and good quality machinery. Even if it takes you months or years to make that happen, I definitely recommend that as a starting point for sure. Pure fundamental tools are probably bench tools, so you're talking saws, chisels, marking gauge, planes, that sort of thing. So they're the sort of basic necessities, and then obviously you can grow from that. Good brands out there. If you look on like woodworking forums, you'll get good sort of, well, even if you go on YouTube, you come across people who review tools, and it's very important. Yeah. Well, it can come down to many things. It can come down to pricing more than anything. What's available. There's a lot of species of wood that have become very rare. It can come down to the design. So if you're making a massive table, for example, it might not be viable to make it out of that certain timber, or maybe that timber is not suited for that table due to the fact it won't sit well in the house, within a design, within like color coordination, that sort of thing. So I've only actually worked with it once, was English walnut. So I did a project with English walnut, but I absolutely loved it. Purely due to the fact it was so easy and effortless to work with, and the grain was so exceptional. But unfortunately, it is such a rare wood. Like I said, I've only worked on it once myself, so possibly in the future, but there aren't many English walnut trees around. So if you do come across it, it will quite often be in a veneer form. Timber merchants want to make as much profit as possible, so they'll make that hardwood timber, solid wood timber, into a veneer to maximise profits. I think it's probably a global issue, not just within woodworking, but the mass production furniture is quite a big issue. It's obviously it's not sustainable. It's cheap, it doesn't last, and it sort of swallows, well, in my case, it swallows woodworkers up, and those traditional sort of crafts do get lost along the way, because you will never compete with these brands. It's definitely an issue. Well, what I've been told down the years is a good craftsman always has a good sharp set of chisels, which goes to say with any of your tools, if they're sharp, it makes your life a whole lot easier.